Walt's digging his intro music, Graham. Just letting you know that.
Graham knows what he's doing.
Oh, he does.
He absolutely does. As does, and I think this goes without saying from things we've said on the show, as does Rod Brind'amour, but that doesn't mean I can always understand it on the surface, right? Which leads me to my first question. I think it's a question a lot of people have. If Jalen Chatfield can't go, based on morning skate, it appears like Scott Morrow may be getting his NHL postseason debut. Why? I guess we'll start with, because obviously Rod has his reasons and it would make a lot of sense just based on trusting him. But, Nikishin did get the call in Game 5.
Yeah, a lot of people were very excited to see what Alexander Nikishin could do up there in D.C. But as for tonight, I think I'm just going to echo what Rod Brind'amour said after morning skate. He said Scott's earned his shot, right? He got called up during some, I'll say, interesting times this season. I mean, he skated as a seventh defenseman. There were guys banged up throughout the course of the season. He missed out on his first AHL All-Star game to get recalled up here. So been a weird year for Scott. But you know what? I think 14 NHL games, played 2 at the end of last year, 6 points. And to me, what that says is, yes, he's an offensive defenseman, but he's picked up on the way that Tim Gleason and crew want to play on the blue line. And yes, they play the same way in Chicago, but clearly both Rod and Gleason have seen something that they trust Scott in a what would be a tough situation tonight if he could get it.
The tantalizing potential of Nikishin, how much of that could potentially be maybe not maximized or held back by his unfamiliarity with the system and also the language barrier, which I think we're downplaying a little bit because we don't have to communicate with them. So yeah, throw them out there, hand signals, right? Like whatever you guys got to do.
Yeah, no, I think the language barrier and the handedness are the two big things here. Alexander Nikishin being a lefty. We saw Shane Gostisbehere playing his offside up there in Game 5 in DC, and Gostisbehere is capable of it, but this team puts a lot of stock into having the even lefty-righty on each defensive pair. So those are the two things that I think it comes down to. Very excited to see what Scott can do tonight.
Walt Ruff, Canes team reporter, joining us here outside the Lenovo Center. 8 o'clock puck drop scheduled just a few feet from where we're sitting inside the Lenovo Center for Game 1 Eastern Conference Finals. I vividly remember sitting in this exact spot. I think it was before Game 1 of the first round series. And we were talking about Svetch and we were talking about shoot. Right? It's just everybody wants to see him shoot more. And sometimes he may see himself as a distributor, but we wanted him to shoot. Why is he listening now? Right? I feel like people have been telling him that for 4 or 5 years. And the last 2 series has been like, yes, from now on, that's how you play, Svetch. You shoot like that, and it's working.
It's just as much mental as it is physical, right? I mean, it's crazy. You got to think Andre's feeling confident after how the first 2 series has gone. He's done everything that he needs to be doing to be successful. He's finding the back of the net. He's impacting the game in a physical way. That's what a lot of fans, like you alluded to, have been wanting to see for a very long time. He got off to that great start a couple seasons ago where he was on pace for 30, 40 goals. He was a physical menace, and then he gets hurt. So for the here and now, Andrei Svechnikov is rolling, and like you, I'm hoping it continues this time around.
And he's staying out of the box.
Yeah.
He has only one penalty.
For the superstitious people out there, we are knocking on wood actively.
But that is something that's always been a knock on him as well. Is like he takes a lot of penalties. I mean, this is one of those things like you just stay quiet like a pitcher with the perfect game or a no-hitter. Like, don't tell him. Like, hey, don't tell Andre that, hey, you're doing a good job staying out of the box. And all of a sudden, if you say that to him, he might get double minors. But that's also a big part of his game as well. It's like playing on that edge but not crossing it.
Yeah, exactly. He has that power forward type build, right? Yeah. It's a rare combination to where he can score and he can also put guys through the boards. But you bring up a good point. He's walked that fine line, especially this time of year where in a tight series, one special teams instance can make or break you. And hopefully nothing changes here in the Eastern Conference Final.
A big part of tonight's game and this series is the storyline from last time, right? Two years ago, you face off against the same team in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's 4 classic games that all go against you just by a hair. Obviously, there are some new players, right? There is roster turnover. There are new guys bringing new skill sets. But of the core, like the we're talking about how we just mentioned Svetch, Jordan Stahl, Jordan Martin, the guys that have been a core of both, what's the biggest difference in their performance or in what they're bringing to the table other than like, hey, now we're skating along Taylor Hall instead of whoever was there before.
Yeah, every series and every team takes on a life of its own, right? But what I think has stuck with that core group of guys, and especially Rod Brind'amour, because he touched on it yesterday, is the fact that Rod had that since viral comment of, we didn't get swept, right?
Yeah.
But what he actually meant by that was any of those 4 games could have gone either way. They liked the way that they played. Yes, they would have obviously liked to have had a different outcome and have done certain things a little bit differently, but they felt like they played a good series. They were very much so in every single game. And when the margin of error is that small, you don't forget that, right? I mean, all of those guys that you just listed, Jacob Slavin, Frederick Anderson too, everybody who was here 2 years ago, they understand the pain and what it feels like to be on the wrong side of things. And obviously they're now transitioning that into what is hopefully a learning experience for the 2025 edition.
What he meant was we weren't outclassed.
Exactly.
Not like 2019 when they lost to the Boston Bruins, which, let's be honest, they overachieved to get to the Eastern Conference Finals back then. That's what he meant. Like, they weren't outclassed.
It is a really hard conversation to have, because as soon as you say it, you're like, oh, there's the clip. But it makes sense if you really think about it when you lose the games in the way that they did. Sebastian Aho, he is more and more like completely uncomprehendable to me, because I think he's a superstar. There's not many superstars that would go a 5-game winning series and not score a goal. Yet every time I would say that, somebody would tweet at me, oh, but he was X percentage in the face-off circle, and he tied for the team lead in hits, and he had the assist, and he's a great forechecker and back checker. And I'm like, I'm not denying any of that. It's just, it seems like most superstars go out of their way to make sure they score. What is like a successful series for Aho looking forward? Does he have to score, or is it just like with his leadership, if they win, it's a great series for him? Like what? If we're looking 2-3 weeks from now back at this series and say Sebastian Aho had a great series, how do we know? I guess is kind of what I'm looking for.
That's a good question. You'd love him to be on the score sheet, but I'll throw a quick question back to you. What's this team's bread and butter?
Everybody shots on goal, pressing, attacking, relentlessness,
defending too, right?
Yeah.
They defend well.
Defend 200 feet.
Exactly.
And possession of the puck, so your defense can stay aggressive and all of those things.
Exactly. Some of those things have metrics tied to them that you can quantifiably say he did well here.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the defensive things, maybe not so much, right? And it's the same conversation we have with Jacob Slavin every year. He's a superstar. He's finally getting some love around the league for it, but it's maybe just hard to say, like, round 1, Andrei Svechnikov goes out and has that monster game 4 in Newark where he has the hat trick. He's all over it. He's beefing with Jacob Markstrom. You can cut the clips and say, that guy is a star. He had a great game there. It's a little bit harder to say with obviously a guy like Slavin, and maybe not quite to the same realm, but I think you guys get what I'm getting at with Sebastian Aho there.
And like the way I described it was Slavin isn't in the mix for the Norris Trophy because he doesn't score enough goals.
Yeah,
which makes no sense. Like to me, the defenseman needs to score goals. So there's almost no way Aho will get in the conversations that I think he should be in without scoring enough goals, because you can't even be in the defenseman category without scoring enough goals.
Exactly.
So it's really difficult to wrap our head around. I do have to ask this question. This is like a requirement of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How boring are the Canes?
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to the first goal scorer.
Well,
you've done a great job with that bit, by the way. That's taken off.
The boring deal?
No.
Oh,
the first goal
scorer.
Yeah.
I was like, trust me, I'm not the one saying boring. I thought you were
No. How boring are the Canes?
How boring are the Canes? I mean, just because it's become, I don't know, a rallying cry, but also now national media and media for other teams are like doubling down on it.
It's like Bunch of Jerks 2.0, isn't it?
Yeah, it has in its infancy. It still has to grow, but there's a seedling there.
I'll go on the same rant that I went on NHL Network yesterday. You can call them boring. They don't care. All this locker room cares about is winning games. It doesn't matter how it gets done. We know, and anyone who's paid attention to this team over the last, really the Brind'amour era, you're not going to get those 7-6 games. You're not going to get those 5-4 games. You're not going to get the up and down on the ice chance after chance. Sorry, don't get me wrong. I love that brand of hockey. It is super fun. There's a reason why a lot of times after leaving here, you go and turn on the Edmonton Oilers, right? Because you never know when you're going to see Connor McDavid flying up the ice or Leon Draisaitl. But the Canes are just on the other end of that paradigm. Like, they're going to win 2-1, 3-1, sloppy, grimy, greasy games, and they don't care. That's just how they do it.
From an entertainment standpoint, you need both.
Mm-hmm.
You don't appreciate 7-6 if you don't occasionally watch a 3-1, and you don't appreciate a 3-1 if you don't occasionally watch a 7-6. You need, if every team played the same style, it would be wildly boring. If you wanted to criticize the NBA, it's like, oh, everyone is threes and layups. Everybody, the same deal. Like, you need the variety, or else it becomes boring.
You bring up a great point, real quick, and I know that we got to wrap up, but Connor McDavid
we'll move ads for Walt Ruff.
Connor McDavid had a great clip. I think it was last week. He gets annoyed because the Edmonton Oilers are consistently asked, "Do you think you can defend with teams?" So it's total polar opposites. People are asking Edmonton, "Can they defend?" Why are the Canes boring? It's somewhere in the middle.
It's 100% somewhere in the middle. I think you need both.
Can't do enough of either. You're Toronto.
But
Dennis.
Hey, no joke there. Tell me I'm wrong. Go ahead.
No, you're not.
Once they lose, they don't have a leg to stand on. First goal score predictions. You brought it up. You're doing a better job leading the show than I am. Who scores the first goal for the Canes and in what period?
I'm always going to say first period because I think starts to the games are so important.
Why put energy into the world elsewhere?
Exactly.
Right?
These games are going to be so tight, though. It might be 2:36 a.m. till we get the first goal of the night, as we've seen already with these two teams. Give me Andrei Svechnikov first period. He's got to have another impactful series. We were talking about him already. Let's get it going early. It's so much easier to play with the lead than playing from behind. Let's do it.
Speaking of things we're trying to get started, Logan Stankoven, Mr. Game 1.
Yep.
He had 2 in the Game 1 against the Devils. He had another goal in Game 1 against the Caps. 3 goals in 2 Game 1s. I think that's my first goal score prediction.
If he does it again tonight, I don't think anybody can argue with it.
Mr. Game 1, Logan Stankoven.
I'm going to ask him that in the locker room.
Walt, we appreciate you for coming out.
Of course. Thanks, guys.